Hello and welcome to Decorate It. My name is Mary and this is Wes, and this is episode 14. We are talking about dragon scales.
Dragons.
That's kind of a cool little effect that you can put on rods. I have to say that I've only done 2 in my entirety of my life as being a rod builder,
I've done none.
and I only did them last year in short little 4-inch ones just to kind of show people how to do them. Haven't done any in the past because of the wrappers that we were using,
Yes.
the thread carriages. So I've always been anti-metallic because I am terrible with it. I have a tendency to shred it. I have a tendency to just bust it when I'm packing.
Which, while we're talking about that, what about those wrappers was causing the metallic to shred and tear up? And
Mainly because it was putting tension on the thread and not on the spool. So I steered away from it because I just figured metallic just wasn't in my game. You know, like I was just going to have to deal with it until I got some thread bobbins or until I got a better thread carriage that would put the tension on the spools. Well, I got bobbins last year and I decided to try it. And honestly, they were probably the coolest little dudes I had ever done. So one I did with metallic and then one I did with Bill Falconer's gold leaf technique, but I used silver flake.
which, now that you have gold leaf, I'll probably attempt more of it.
It's really cool to do it that way. It's really easy too, because
Especially that multicolored.
oh yeah, I got a multicolored one that's like greens, golds, and like browns or something. Like that one's really fun. But that one, you just set up the however many axes you want to do it underneath, and then
So I could do a 2-axis.
sure, it's not going to be very dramatic, but sure. Most of them are usually somewhere between 4 and 8 is what you typically would see.
Is there any limit?
I mean, it depends
So
on
you
your
could
blank.
do a 16 or 32 or...
Depends on your blank because you have to be able to set it up. You know, because you can either use the drywall tape, which is not my preferred method because you can't really control that seam very well, or you can lay it out like an 8-axis chevron or a 16-axis, but the blank size determines how many axes you can do. End of story. You can't put a 16 on a little 8mm diameter blank. It's just not going to fit.
I'm pretty sure someone has done a 16-axis wrap on something close to that.
And those little tiny itty bitty little things are going to be super small. You might get a ton of definition, you know, like try it, experiment with it. There's nothing right or wrong as to far. You just got to be able to keep the line straight and make it look like a diamond if that's the shape you're going for.
So what you're saying is I should use drywall tape.
If you want to use drywall tape, then go for it. That's up to you. You know, there's no reason why you can't. A lot of people use the drywall tape whenever they spiral it because it's easier. You know, you can actually spiral it and you don't have to worry about like cutting, stopping and starting other stuff in it.
It's harder to keep it in place with thread that way.
Yeah, because it's got an extreme kind of angle on it, so it's really hard to keep it there. But yeah, I mean, getting the layout and stuff done. I got the layout done and put the little. It looks like CP, but it's gold leaf adhesive, and you put it all over the entirety of it. And then once it dries, you come back with the gold leaf and you just kind of pat it on there. And it's super messy, but it's cool looking.
Do you have to pat it, or can I like throw the gold leaf on it?
No, you gotta pat it. You gotta pat it down on there. So, like,
floof.
I took a no. You don't want to floof it because then you'll have floofs all over the shop. Because it does. It's like feathers. It's worse than feathers actually. It goes poof everywhere. You take like one of those sponges. We usually have the wooden handle and the black sponge with the angle, and you just kind of pat it into it, and that gets it stuck to the adhesive. And then you go back with a big fluffy brush and brush all of the chaos off. Little tip: get a vacuum while you do that. Otherwise, it's everywhere like
or
glitter.
Catch it and reuse it.
Or you can try to catch it and reuse it. Good luck with that. Anything that you can catch, you can just put it back in the jar and do anything with it. You can have the flakes. The flakes I think is harder because it's harder to get big pieces done at the same time. Bill Falconer on his channel, which he's now YouTube, is Mastering Rod Building on YouTube. He has a tutorial on how to use the gold leaf sheets. He had sheets that he was putting on his, and that looked a lot easier than trying to pack all the gold flakes into it. But if you want a detailed video of how to do that, check out Mastering Rod Building on YouTube. And Bill Falconer has an entire, like I think it's 2 or 3 videos in that series where he's teaching you how to do it. Who created the dragon scales?
It's some random guy.
Quit playing dumb.
I believe it was Trilikis.
It was Jim Treleake's. So Jim came up with this technique. I don't know when. I know it's been a very long time, and it's always been just kind of pushed out into the market because he started doing it, which he does have some photos that he shared tonight. Also, another big contribution that he's given to the community was also the olive branches, and that's the reason why they're called JTOBs, because it's Jim Treleake's olive branch. I have that 4-thread carriage that has the tension on the spool, so I can actually work with metallic now. So I'm kind of going back against all the anti-metallic sentences and phrases I've said over the last 12 years that I need to try it. Because that was the only hiccup. I was working
Especially
through a
with
thread
all the
carriage.
pretty metallics that are out now.
Oh, I know. The prisms and the multicolored and the auroras, and there's so many different types of metallics now. And better quality, because prior, one of the other reasons why I wasn't a huge fan of using metallic was because they would fade over time. You know, like silver stayed silver, but blue would turn silver on the side that the sun saw it. And I knew that from experience because we had a rod for James, and I weaved his initials in blue metallic, and within a year, it was silver.
Bright silver.
And I was like, what happened? It faded. So apparently that's something that happens. And it depends on some of the brands, and I know some people have not had any problems. Some people have. You know, just take into consideration that some of the colors may or may not fade. My personal opinion, always take your threads, especially if you've got a chance of it fading. Wrap it on a dowel stick, put some epoxy on it, stick it outside, see what happens. You know, that'll give you an actual true answer as to if it's going to fade or if it's not going to fade. Somebody, we're about to show Southerns that they contributed tonight, and I think it was Juan, faded over his dragon scale with solid metallics, and I was actually pretty taken aback by how cool that looked, because he's got it in the mahi colors, but he did a fade going into it with a solid, like I think green or one of the colors in the middle, and then fade it back out of it. And I was like, dang, look at you doing all that chaos on top of a dragon scale.
Right.
Anyways.
My luck, I'd push all the threads around. And
right, tension's super important with it, and you got to be patient, because if you have a little skip and you miss it and you put epoxy on it, your eye goes right to that little spot. So without further ado, let's look at some of the things that the Southern Rod Builders contributed. So first off, we have Abby's. She's got really nice green metallic, which is, I think that's pretty metallic, and then has spiraled up with the olive branch in the middle, in the middle of a blue trim. Really, really nice work. Another one of Abby's.
that gives off the carbon fiber look.
This one does look like carbon fiber, 100%. I don't know how many axes she's got, or if it's just the angle she's done with it, but like, that looks like metal, just about. Really cool. Abby again, coming in with orange, with purple, orange metallic. She's got a lot of colored metallics. I'm going to have to start collecting them, because I don't have that many metallics, because we had a bad relationship. A copper metallic. Looks like she's gone over a very large thread underneath with this one, because it's got a lot of definition poking out, so I would assume that's probably a D or an E, potentially. It looks pretty big. Abby again. This one, as far as the photo aesthetics, really nice. Really good definition. Like, she's got this on, like, typically I would have put this on a white background, but the black background just kind of makes this pop a little bit more, but she's done that royal blue over the dragon scale pattern and has spiraled up with black and silver trims as well. Another one of Abby's. Adam Clements. So this is a different technique where you take multiple colors and you put bands of them. So he started with gold at the bottom, and then he's got a black section, a charcoal, and another gold section ending in black. So fun little fact, there is a black metallic running around in the market. But what happens to black metallic whenever it goes under epoxy, Wes?
It's no longer really metallic.
It just turns a black thread.
I mean, you can make it look metallic by putting a very high lumen light on it, but
It's so hard to see.
it's tough.
It's not even worth the hassle of dealing with it. But yeah, so black metallic does not stay metallic. So don't think that you're gonna get a shimmer to your metallic without putting something in your epoxy. It's just gonna look like black thread.
Glitter.
Another one of Adam's. This one looks like one of the prisms or the color shifts or something, because it's got that gold pickup that's happening in that coral color. It's really nice. Bill Goings. So we've actually seen this photo before when we were talking about the fade wraps because he's got the fade going on in between the spiraling. And this is what we were talking about with the spiraling with using the drywall tape underneath to spiral it because you can cut it and then fill in with thread. And this is very like purples and silvers. We also have bill goings again, which we saw this one as well in the fade video, but another great example of a dragon scale as well. Spiraling once again up the rod with a cute little fade going from dark brown to kind of bronze to a tan. So Brian Ward has this nice orange metallic where he spiraled it and then did that could be the blank underneath. I didn't see the actual blank, or that could just be a band of orange thread that he's outlined with the black. Another one of Brian's, very pretty. I'd say that's copper. Another pretty example. These are really hard to photograph. I will throw that out there because you really don't get the full effect of the dragon scale unless you see it moving. It looks really good in daylight, which I'm glad some of these people are taking their photos outside because the daylight actually catches it better than inside.
Definitely catches it better than at night.
Yes, it does. Another one of Brian's, another spiral one with a pretty blue all the way up the rod. This is David Bracknell. He's done an extreme elongated spiral with gold and then filled in with red, white, and blue in between. Very different. I actually haven't seen one done like that. Looks good. So Derek Beamer has done a dragon scale as an underwrap of a guide with an ivory, and then also on the overwrap for the guide in the ivory as well. That's a lot of work.
A lot of time in that.
That's a lot of time in just that one little guide. Frank L. Wolf. This one is very unique. So when I first saw it, I had a very hard time trying to figure out where the dragon scale was. But the dragon scale's in the blue. And then he's done a wrap over top of it. It looks like a diamond. All right, so this is... Wes, I'm going to need your help. Guillaume. Beautiful. This, whatever color.
That's those prismatic ones.
I want this one. This looks...
have that.
Oh, do I have that one?
You have that directly from Bill.
Oh, yeah, that's what I got at Mudhole.
That's what I got.
That's my thread. Look how gorgeous that is. I love it because it looks like a peacock. That's what it reminds me of, is peacock colors. Oh, it's so pretty. But this is just done extremely nicely. And this is another thing a lot of people will do is they'll do the dragon scale and put the logos on top of it. Because you're not really missing out on like covering up anything per se, but it gives it a nice background and a place to land. Yeah. Another one of his in this really pretty blue.
I want to talk about that woodworking behind it.
Right, with the bow ties stuck in it. I know. I was going, ooh. I have not seen this color blue before as a metallic. Look at that. That looks really good. I like that color a lot. But he's done a really nice job with the dragon scales. He's got his guides wrapped over it. More of his work. He's done it as the underwrap for his guide.
I think that is actually considered a sawtooth because it doesn't have the outline.
Especially that one in the middle. Mm-hmm. It's cool. Anyways, pretty kind of turquoise dragon scale on the underwrap. Another one of his. I don't know what thread that is or if it's just the angle of it, but it's almost turquoise and black, like shifting. And he's done that one in a spiral. And he's got his saw blades, his olive branches, his modified
decorative trim.
We'll call it this way. Modified olive branch. Can't go wrong with that.
MJT will be.
But yellow and the turquoise going through it. And these are beautifully done. This one looks like it probably... I like
that extra thread that's put in there to give it definition.
Right? I was just going to say, is that drywall tape? It has to be drywall tape that he's added something over top of it
with
to kind of...
Yeah.
To kind of make it kind of have definition. Like it's a wave, if you will. Another one of his. Royal blue. I don't think you can go wrong with this royal blue metallic. It always looks good.
Till it turns silver.
Not every brand. I heard Hytena was not doing that though. But
Hytena burned to the ground.
I know everybody
can't get it right now. So
everybody is totally upset about that because they're not quite in operation yet. That one looks like it probably is the drywall tape because he's got that missing gap, and then he spiraled his modified olive branches in the middle. Another one of his under the guide wrap. So there's plenty of places you can put these things under your guide wraps as long as the rod can handle a little bit of extra oomph in that area. Mm-hmm. Split grips as the full wrap. Another one of Guillaume's. So this is where, remember how I was saying one of these individuals started, it was Juan, I remember because of his mahi ones, but he did it here too, where he's gone from his overwrap on his guide is black, and then he's faded his overwrap into the metallic underneath and then faded it back out, and the dragon scales underneath all that. And it looks really cool. Jared Taylor. Jared's done quite a few of these. I have to like shrink this photo so you can get the gorgeousness that is this rod, not to mention the aesthetics of this photo too, because he's taken it outside in the snow and leaned it up against a gnarly bark kind of tree, and it looks really good. But gorgeous dragon scale. He does it the Jim Treleake's way, where he lays it out, and he actually made a point to say that he likes to use a D or an E thread, sometimes an F depending on the blank, so that he gets that massive depth underneath the dragon scales, and just taking his time with it so that all the points match up and nothing gets kind of compressed or elongated or anything like that. Another one of Jared's.
That one looks like scales.
This one I really like. This one looks like a 4-axis instead of an 8-axis. And that thread from that angle sitting on top of that snow background that he's got is gorgeous. And it catches the light just perfectly. Did you guys know, fun fact also, just throwing these out here all together tonight, the best time to take photos outside is when it's overcast, when it's cloudy, because then you don't get the direct light from the sun. So if you're going to take your rods outside and take photos of them, wait till it gets cloudy. That's the best day. Fun fact. Anyways, this is a kind of green pearlescent color, almost jade, if you will. And I love how he's got the random spot stuck in his cork. This is more of Jared Taylor's work. This was a wedding present for a couple. One is in silver and one is in purple. Purple is really pretty too. So I was really appreciative of Jared sharing an in progress one. Okay. So you can see that he's got his base with his larger thread running underneath the metallic that's going on there now. And this looks like another 4-axis that he's done because it's the larger diamonds. And you can see how he's also got it set up with all marking his points and his axes and all this other stuff. So it was really nice to see this. This is the photo that he told me he uses the big thread in order to create the depth of this. Jim Bowers representing Australia tonight. He's got a red dragon scale with spiraling threads going over top of it, and then also another blue thread kind of thrown in there. Moving on to Jim Bowers. He has done a multicolored one. So this one's fun. Just because he's changed colors. He went from a white metallic to orange to a purple to a fuchsia to a mint green to a royal. Like it's just fun. So you don't have to keep it one solid color if you don't want to.
Stick.
It's a very good sample stick. Here's what different ones look like with different. Yeah, that's a great idea actually. You could just run one onto there, see what the colors look like, put it out there as a demo. If somebody wants to pick off the demo, then boom, there you go. Here's what it looks like. That's a great idea, Wes. Then you can take your demo stick and stick it outside and see if any of the metallics are going to fade.
I'll take 3% commission on all rods that you make off of that.
Another one of Jim's. He's done under wrap. I'm going to guess this is like a copper metallic. It's just not as great lighting. And then wrapped over his guide feet with more metallic. I mean, you guys that put all this metallic on your rods, for years, I never understood how you magicians could figure out how to do this because I was always popping it, breaking it, shredding it. Jim Bowers, again, has put in a few samples of his work. So he's got the gold one at the top where it spirals, and then he's got a red one, and then a royal blue again, almost kind of, it's a brown metallic, and then another gold one at the bottom. And one more example of Jim's in this one, which is a gold metallic, and then he spiraled some blue and silver thread up the wrap as well. Jim coming in again. So this one's a kind of, it's not just silver, it's got other colors in that thread, that metallic as well. And he's done it on an under wrap. It almost has like a kind of rainbowish look to it. It might be the rainbow thread, but I just can't tell. Another one of Jim's. So here's a fun thing too, which this one, if you pay attention to it and you're not really overthinking what you're looking at, you can do a dragon scale and then wrap over it with a single black thread and put it in between all of the diamonds and kind of get a plaid look to it. So if you're going for one of those plaid, like a tartan, if you will, if you're going for like a faux tartan, this is a good way to do it. Because if you look at his photo and you, like I said, don't overthink it, just go, oh, that kind of reminds me of a plaid tartan kind of pattern. So you could easily do it without having to figure out what colors fade,
Mm-hmm.
don't fade, all that jazz. Another one of Jim's. That's another fun colored metallic, whatever that color is. It's multicolored. Another just purple dragon scale. And then he's got the white, blue, and gold spiraling in between. And the man himself, Jim Treleake's. So, this one,
Is that a tiger over dragon?
that is a tiger over a dragon. Yes, it is.
Jesus.
That is a tiger over a dragon. When he pushed this one, I was like, there you go. There's the man, the myth, the legend himself. So if you can see the dragon in this photo really well, if you look to the left of it in the lighter blue section, you can see the outline of it. I'm sure this thing does some fun stuff in the sun as it's turning or moving around. I'm sure it is crazy looking. Jim, once again, is the creator of this pattern, and we have to zoom in to appreciate all of this man's inlay work and details that he pumps into his rods. And he started his dragon scale down here at the bottom where the black thread is going, and he's gone through that fade again. And then we had the fish decal, and then going back into some crazy trim inlays, back out to the fade, and then to zoom out to appreciate this work of art once again. But wait, there's more of his work. Here's the spiral one. So this actually isn't making the diamond shape at all. This one is just the bigger thread being wrapped around it all the way up. And then he's done his fade work over top of it in the metallics, going from that royal blue, from white, royal blue, silver, black, another decal in the middle, and then fading it back out. This one looks super, super cool. And that wouldn't be very hard to do. You just have to make sure the spacing between those threads that are getting wrapped are equal so that it doesn't throw your eye whenever you go to wrap over it. So his is running straight. Now, I don't know if he's got it underneath the spiral threads here, but it appears to be spiraling. But he's got all that sick saw blades and JTOBs and just inlays going right in between all that. Gorgeous. Just beautiful. Another great example of that spiral look that he does, where it's going from the gold to the red and back to the gold. And you can tell the definition of, and especially in the gold and the red, that has to be a D or an E or even potentially an F thread under there just to create that much depth. Because if you don't go very big with it, it's not going to stand out as well. So I've got to zoom in on wands because look at the pattern on this. This dragon scale is trippy.
Maybe zoom in on that.
Right? I can't figure out for the life of me what is going on. It looks like it's going up and down in zigzags. And is it just the angle that he's taking it at to make it look so complicated?
Interesting.
Right? I don't know what he did, but Juan has got my mind blown right now looking at that photo. Another one of Juan's, but he's done a really nice red dragon scale, fading through the metallics as well under the dragon scale. Just, it's beautiful work. Another one of Juan's. He's done another version of gold, black, and red with the decal in the gold section and then fading it back out. There's a lot of time in something like this. You know, I spend anywhere between 8 to 10 hours on a wrap. I don't know how long these people spend on this kind of stuff. For me, it would take me about the same amount of time to do this because of making sure the lines were straight and everything was packed right and all that other stuff. Another one of Juan's. He did a lot of really classic colors for the ones that he showed in these photos like this. This one's got some gold trim and then black, kind of charcoal going into burgundy and red and then fading back out. Another one of Juan's. The inlays is what gets me. You know, like the dragon itself is just a patience thing. They sit there, make sure the tension's good, pack it, keep the threads close together. But then you start adding all these inlays at the beginning and the end of it. It's like, whew. So he started with the green, and then he's thrown in the blue and went to a gold and then green and then blue in the center and then come back out. And to really appreciate it in this section, particularly because that's where the camera focused, that's really nice looking. And that, I don't know, that green gold right there, yeah, it's a fade. You can barely tell it whenever you're looking at it from a distance. It looks like the color just shifted on that thread. It's really nice. Another example of the same kind of setup with mahi on it. And another one on the bench. Decal at the bottom, going through the fades. Another mahi in the center, going back out. There's another one of those again. So let's study. We're going to call this the circuit board. Let's study this and see if we can figure this thing out.
Okay.
I see what he's done. That is our brain looking at that and overcomplicating it. He's spiraled a couple threads up the blank, and the metallic going over it at the angle that he's taking the photo
Shifts the color.
makes the color shift. And the only reason why I could tell what he did was because of where the fade happened with that regular thread, because I see it underneath of it. Because regardless of being able to see that thread underneath that fade, because of the depth of it versus the other thread, like that looks really good. Lori Bard has come in. This is one of her Rasta rods, and she has purposely tried to distress her wrap to make it look more fun, more unique, have more character to it, if you will. So you can kind of see where she's started to kind of blend it with the green and the gold there, which awesome, because you're not going to get that with thread. It's just going to cut right off, right? She goes through her gold, then she gets to the red. You can see the kind of ombre effect kind of happen too. Now, when you're putting this gold leaf stuff down on there, it's very hard to get it to, like, you know, you can't put two on there and all of a sudden now you've got a new color. It's not going to happen that way. But you can see that there's kind of a change happening. And then that is going, the picture you saw previously where the red goes into the black for the guide. This is just a fun looking rod. And I was very, very happy to see her enter some of her work, because Lori does some cool stuff and she's a cool woman. Mark Fisher, one of my favorite builders for the aesthetics of his photos. Another cape hanging out in the background, and the wool that Wes wants to go take a nap on as well. This one is a dragon scale in gold, and then he's done his feather inlay over top. And that feather inlay is pretty.
Wouldn't that be called a feather overlay?
Well, yeah, I guess technically. Well, we always just refer to them as inlays, even though we're not putting it into anything.
You're not inlaying it into
it.
anything. You're overlaying it on something.
We're adding our decorative feathers to our rod. But yeah, that's true. It's technically not an inlay.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, that's not an inlay.
Mr. Technical over here, trying to redefine rod building terms. Another one of Mark Fisher's. The feathers, just Jesus Christ, they're just gorgeous. I couldn't even tell you what bird that is. But
Forget the rod. Let's talk about the feathers.
Right, let's talk about the feathers. But he's got another feather inlay. I have to use the right terms for it. I stop calling it overlay.
Feather overlay.
Feather additive over his dragon scale. This looks like charcoal to me, because it almost is black, but it's not quite black. So it's one of the charcoal.
If it was black, you wouldn't see it.
Yeah, if it was black, you wouldn't be able to see it. But it's just a nice, very subtle addition to the rod. Another one of Mark's with purple dragon scale this time, and the feather inlay as well. This is I love his feather work. It's always really just nicely done, really dramatic. Not necessarily dramatic, but this one's very sweeping along the sides. Mike has done another awesome silver-based dragon scale, and then come back with the blue and black on the top. Once again, it's kind of like a faux tartan, faux plaid wrap, if you will, doing it like this. It looks really cool. And he did a really nice job trying to blend that in with his butt going into the grips as well. So it actually has a really nice flow to it, and I appreciate that. Michael Ward with this awesome shot of his guide with him doing that underneath. He's done a silver dragon scale again and come back with a single black and kind of crisscrossed it in there. Gives it more texture, more definition. Also has this tartan look to it. Peter Raymond Stanley Muckert. This one is a drywall tape spiraled up the rod with a red metallic, and then he's got a red fading going into black with a silver trim on the inside and framing it on the outside. It's really nicely done. Will Easter. So Will Easter took most of these photos on the beach, and that's a charcoal color metallic dragon scale, and then he's thrown neon like green or yellow as trims on top of that, and I think that looks actually pretty good. Nothing too fancy, just very clean, nicely done. Another one of Will's. The aesthetics in this photo is just great. Purple dragon scale with yellow. Well, it's not quite yellow. It's more on the gold side, but a golden yellow trim with a decal in the middle. Will Easter coming in again. So this one's really actually kind of hard to see because of the angle, but it is the royal blue. If you get close to it, you can see it is a dragon scale underneath there. That's what happens when it like doesn't have enough light on it. You kind of lose the effect. Obviously out in the sun, you're going to see it. But in photos, like I said, sometimes it's really hard to catch the effect of the photo of it. So all 62 photos submitted between doing either dragon scales with the metallic or using the full method. Not very many of those, but I think that should get a second version of another dragon scale instead of with metallic.
I can see that because all the different possibilities with the leaf versus...
With the leaf, yeah, or all the colors that the leaves have. Because
Mhm.
I could spend good money just buying a bunch of gold leaf in a bunch of different colors
Mhm.
because there's so many different ones of them. Some talented builders, some people that are thinking about stuff that my buying can't even put together, especially all those trims and inlays and stuff with metallic. Like, that's not where my brain goes, apparently, but everybody's different, which is why I love to showcase what other people do because I'm not going to think to do that. And like I said, I've only done 2 little dragon skills just for short demos because I know how to do them. Just didn't do them.
Where were your pictures, madam?
I didn't put them in there because they were just little peons. And I ran out of time because who cares? I had a royal blue one, it was just a little itty bitty little royal blue one. And then I took the thread off of that one. I was lazy. I just took the thread off of that one and put the silver leaf over top of the one. And I pulled it off the rod because they were just demos. Like, I was just like, hey, here's how you do a dragon scale. They weren't for anything. One of these days I'll have to do one, legitimately do one and try some fun stuff with it. But
They make a white gold leaf?
well, it wouldn't be called gold leaf because gold is gold.
Well, there was green and red and...
Yes, they're called red flake or green flake. They're called by the color. Everybody just
Do they
assumes
make
it's
some
gold.
white leaf?
I don't know if they do or not. That actually segues with Wes's question about asking about white leaf into our product of the night, which Wes will go into detail about what this is and why it is.
So these are the new Shiry products from Foundation Outdoor Group. And long story short, Shiry is white. As you can tell, this is white.
It's like a pearl white, if you will.
I fell in love with it when I saw it at ICAST. Like, I'm be honest, I was trying to pocket some things while had people distracted. Because once you feel these, the fit and finish on it is just amazing.
It's real smooth.
Smooth, real soft. Just, it's not like a texture. It's the gloss, slick on the carbon.
It feels like a blank.
Yeah. But the durability. So, this seat in particular obviously has a window in it for either bare blank or an insert. I've been sitting here the entire time we've been talking about these pictures, playing with this, back and forth, pushing it in, spinning it, going from the other end. There's not a single scratch on this thing.
Mm-mm. They're made exactly how they're supposed to be.
Not a single scratch. And there's sharp edges here. And it's not scratched one time. I've dropped this on the ground already.
We just got it. Are you serious?
But the fit, finish, and quality of this white that they've put on these, there's seats, there's carbon butts, carbon fours. They've got the trim pieces that are black and silver that you glue up, so if you need to change pieces, you can. It makes it for a very clean, classy white section of your rod.
Mm-hmm. All of the Shiry series with everything being white. You know what it makes me want to do? To build one.
White leaf.
No. White leaf was not the first thought that came to my mind, but I am definitely on the same page with you. I want to do a black and white rod. Whoa.
Obviously, it's not glued together, but
No, but the way that these things fit together, it's very seamless. The entire thing is basically, you order the parts, you glue it together, you have a fully functioning, extremely classic looking rod. And they've got pieces, little trims and other additives that are either white,
little
black, or silver.
sections of carbon that are solid white that you can put in between, all kinds of different pieces. The arrows come in this as well, so that's a good option. And then these style of trigger seats. And there's also the solid where it doesn't have the window.
Mm-hmm. It's a sleek looking build. I've seen them. They put them together. They had them at ICAST, and they didn't do anything decorative to them. They just built them as is.
Just white, and the blanks have that option too.
It looked really good. Really good. We've got 3.
One of the crankbaits, one of the light saltwater, and another one that's the solid white Shiry option.
But I'm gonna be playing with them when I get back from the expo because I don't have time right now. But I do plan on. I may do a cow print one, just for fun.
And that's another thing. You could print out things and put it on this, and just have a white background.
Like do the water slide technique because it's already painted, primed, and ready to go.
You could epoxy over too.
That is our product of the night. We are going to do a big thank you to Fog Foundation Outdoor Group.
Fog.
Thank you for being a supporter and also doing all of the awesome stuff you do. I know that when we call, we always get our questions answered when we talk to Mudhole or American Tackle representatives in specific. Mo is the jam. Mo is the bomb. Thank you, Foundation Outdoor Group.
appreciate it.
We do appreciate all the support and everything that you give. And if you guys have not checked out any of the sales or anything that's running on Mudhole, then you need to go check that out. Jake was just talking about an extra $100 off of
Yeah, that was just like a
wrap.
hey, we're gonna do this. So definitely watch out on their social media.
Absolutely. I can't do us any justice if I don't speak about if you're not coming to the International Custom Rod Building Expo, you need to be coming. Make time for that because it's going to be
fun.
Super fun, super knowledgeable. And if you've never been to one, you get to see all these vendors that show up there between people like myself and as the decorative studio. HFF's going to be there. American Tackle will be there. Foundation will be there. Anglers Resource is going to be there. Batson's not coming.
No, they're not.
I don't think so. I don't know. But anyways,
all around,
there's a ton.
all the deals Reggie has.
Reggie's got a ton of deals. You can put your hands on products. You can talk to other custom rod builders. You build relationships. You do all this stuff while you're there. And there's seminars where you learn how to do different stuff, like in rod building. Like I'm teaching 3 this year, which I'm a little like, whoa. I'm doing shading and wraps, and then I'm talking about EVA inlays and also artistic grips, all the things that you can do. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching and listening and just learning a little bit about dragon scales and the things that you can do with them, putting them either in the split or as the decorative wrap. You could also do them under your reel seats if you have enough space. You have to account for the space, or if you're going to do a peekaboo reel seat, and also under your stripper guides if the rod can handle that big of a load. But
You could do it over top of this too.
you could also, how fun would it be to go over go under or over the Shiry components and under the white blank? A royal blue metallic dragon scale would look amazing with that white rod aesthetic. Y'all have a fantastic night or day, depending on when you're listening or watching this, and we will talk to you later. Bye.